Welcome to my review of Don't Breathe, directed by Fede Alvarez, a thriller that centers on a group of 3 young thieves who attempt to rob $300K stashed away in the home of an old blind vet. However, given their underestimation of the blind man's other 4 heightened senses, overall strategic methods, and hostility, the group is forced to go undetected while searching for an escape. This is going to be a somewhat quick review, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. I'm not quite there like everybody else. I don't think this is quite an exceptional film. I think it is a solid film, but it still suffers from a lot of the problems that a lot of horror films typically tend to have. Although it's not as dumb as the run-of-the-mill horror film, it does have some pretty dumb moments. And of course, I'll elaborate further on that in a bit, but what I really like about this film is how it sets up its atmosphere through lighting, through the camera work. It really does have a very claustrophobic vibe throughout the entire film, and it makes it a pretty tense experience at times. The house itself is really like a maze, and it also has a nice sound design to go along with it. One of the standout set pieces in this film is the lights out scene, and that's where the house is completely blacked out because obviously the blind man doesn't need lights to see. So our heroes are forced to fumble around in the house in complete darkness while being chased by a guy who wants to kill them. And the only way you're able to see what's happening on screen is through a black and white filter. It's an intense filter, but personally, I wouldn't mind seeing an actual edit of the scene be shorter and be completely blacked out with only uses of gunfire, kind of signaling where exactly he's at. What's also a positive attribute to this film is that it did make me give a slight shit about the characters, and that's all of them. Of course, the blind man and the 3 thieves. Or at least maybe 2 of the 3 thieves, because the character Money, I thought was a terrible character. He was badly written and had bad dialogue, so there's that. As for Roxy and Alex, I thought they were okay, and especially Roxy, who actually has a legitimate reason to be robbing this blind man. Which brings me to my next point. Throughout the entire film, I think there is a nice bit of conflict that the film sets up for the viewer, because you are kind of conflicted who to root for, the blind man or the thieves, or maybe you're just kind of indifferent. There really isn't a clear-cut villain here until the movie reaches its 3rd act, and that's where the movie just kind of falls apart a little bit. The only positive thing that I can say about the 3rd act is that it does contain a reveal that I did not foresee. Other than that, though, not so much. Throughout the film, there are some dumb character decisions, there are some inconsistencies with the blind man's supersonic hearing. Sometimes it seemed as if the guy was straight up teleporting all throughout the house, and the same could be said for his super dog. And there's one thing that happens in the film that I will not spoil in the 3rd act that I was sitting there thinking like, yeah, that's not very plausible. Now, I did praise these characters, alluding to that these are characters that are worth rooting for the most part. I mean, there are some dumb decisions that characters make. One in particular that features a girl leaving her shoes behind. That is just really freaking stupid. But in the 3rd act, there are more than just a couple of moments where the characters could have avoided certain situations if they had just used their heads, or have gotten off their ass and actually ran instead of collecting themselves and taking their time. Overall, I do not think this film is as good as 10 Cloverfield Lane, Green Room, The Invitation, or The Witch. It's a decent popcorn film, but really nothing else besides that. So I'm going to give Don't Breathe a 3 out of 5. If you are somebody who has seen Don't Breathe, then do let me know your thoughts on it, and as always, I'm Colin Kirkland, and thank you so much for watching.